started the recording here. Welcome everybody. This is the final installment of PTRU for Liberation of Undermine. My objective today is to go over Mug Z, and then at the end, for fun, just peruse the dungeon journal for, if you'll indulge me, for the final boss. We don't have any footage of that one because there was no testing, as is per usual for the final boss. However, I would like to check that out on the Dungeon Journal, see if we can glean maybe some of the mechanics that will be there, maybe some of the classes or races or that sort of thing that might be good on there, just to sort of implant some of those mechanics in our minds before we transition into the new patch. So without further ado, let's get started on Mug Z. I'm going to go ahead and just, as per usual, we're going to hit play. Feel free to talk if you notice anything or there's something you want to talk about. That's totally fine whenever. And we will play through this. Now, this was extremely difficult on testing, so this is... a lot of guilds didn't even get a chance to like transition into phase 2 once, and I think that it's going to need to like happen twice, back and forth between the room. So anyway, Mug Z, without further ado, let's check it out. This may pause for a little bit, but if it gets choppy. So they're starting out on the Mug side. I believe this is the Mug side. So there's ice and earth as the elements here.
These are solos.
These are solos, they said.
I'm getting some
Frost Shatter Boots.
I can't make this. Yeah. I'm gonna die.
Okay, you didn't do that very well.
I think you can get some cleave on those to the wall, but I can't really tell.
Can we just do over here? Can you turn anything on?
Yeah, we can.
It has to like pierce something.
I don't understand it.
Go to the wall.
Everyone's in here. A bunch of people in here.
Yeah, that's fine, that's fine.
Front, sure.
Just got rescued?
Yeah.
Can you loop around back for that?
Sus.
Might have to be
So they put more players in the jails this time.
The wall.
Then we kill goons. Then we kill goons fast. Everyone in a goon.
Okay, that kills me.
Stop fucking targeting me in the goon cave.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like if multiple go through the same wall that it
Oh,
doesn't-
that's
it's
horrible.
so fucked.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too.
Okay, so now they go over to the other side.
Stop target?
I agree.
Can we just have them move? Yeah, that's not a good
And they're going to show the other side. So this is one where you can pick. Kind of like some other fights we've done in the past.
I'm trying to talk for like the last 20 seconds and no
Holy
one
priests, please fucking stop angeling. I don't know whether you're an angel, you're not. You're always dead. I'm trying.
Yeah, it reminds me of Kurog.
A little bit. So there's
Except,
things.
no, everything one-shots you.
Wow, almost everybody's dead already.
Fucking demon. Evil guy.
Holy moly.
Yeah, there's a beam.
Wait, why is that line turning?
There's crawler mines.
Okay, yeah, and then now you.
There's a volunteer rocketeer.
So,
Cluster mines, right? Okay, gotcha.
before the second wave.
Okay, so they try something different here. They start to get smart with it.
What happens if you just leave right?
I'm gonna walk around and just. We'll
We're gonna
just
die. Get ready.
So they're gonna bait the mines into the corner here. Is the idea.
Moly.
Why? Why is he going first person? Kalamazi. Okay, so they dropped it in that corner over there. They started in the corner, so it grouped up the crawler mines. You should be able to see here in a second.
Yeah, this asshole would change his camera view.
There we go. So they're a little bit more grouped up on the other side of the room. And what they're doing is I believe they try to mass route them. Yeah, so that they basically just don't deal with them. They're a bit of a cluster, literally. Like when you pop one, there's like 5 soaks that split off of the one, and they like drop in random places, and they can even drop on other mines, so you can like trigger a chain reaction. It's kind of crazy. So they elected here on one of their polls, let's just try rooting him and not dealing with him.
Reroute them.
And so then they transitioned successfully here to the other side, but it's the same things. There's some piss on the ground over there.
Ouch.
Well, not really. Partially working, but I mean.
Yeah, I think one of the mines triggered and fell. Okay, so I think...
This is heroic, right?
Yeah, this is on heroic. I think that is enough footage for us to go over the dungeon journal and get some specifics on how these things work. So let's pull it up here. Lou. All right, Mug Z, heads of security. Stage 1. Okay, head honcho. So Mug and Z take turns being the head honcho. Whenever the majority of players are in either Mug or Z side of the room, that head takes charge, removing 10 applications of Moxie and granting Mug Z a unique set of abilities. Okay, we'll read about Moxie here in a second. In addition, when Mug takes control, he unleashes Elemental Carnage, and when Z takes control, he begins assault with uncontrolled destruction. So we saw that a little bit at the beginning. He just does a bunch of AoE when he crosses over the line or when you start a phase on either side. Moxie. So Mugzy grows resolute over time, increasing their damage done by 1% every 5 seconds. This effect stacks. So it removes 10 stacks of Moxie when you swap sides of the room. So you could keep him at 0 stacks if you swap every 50 seconds is what that looks like, if that was the objective, but you probably don't. You probably swap every like minute or so, so it slowly goes up, I bet, something like that. Elemental Carnage, so when Mug takes command, inflicts nearly 1 million elemental damage to all players every 1.5 seconds for 6 seconds. Healer problem, Elemental Calamity, Mug emanates with elemental ferocity, inflicting this much damage to players, so it's like 250,000 every 1.5 seconds for 2 minutes. Okay, so this is just like a ticking dot on that side, and I would imagine that uncontrolled destruction is the same thing, just on the other side. Rockets and drones inflicting fire damage. Interesting, they do 0.5 seconds, 3 every 0.5. It's the same thing, but this ticks more often. 3 times as fast, but it's basically the same amount of DPS to the players. A little flavor there. Chaotic Destruction burns, inflicting, yep, so this is just the healer thing. Double-minded Fury. So upon reaching 100 energy, Mugzy enrages and fires volleys of lightning and lead, inflicting 9.4 million fire damage to all players every 1 second for eternity. Okay, so he kills you when he reaches 100 energy, which I believe he drops energy whenever you swap sides, so it's like forcing you to play on both sides at some point in the fight. Okay, so Mug, yes, Mug is the side that we started on the red side. He's got the Earthshaker Gowl, or I guess it's pronounced jail in British.
Jail.
Yeah, I don't.
Yep.
We're not going to do that. We're probably going to call them Gowls, but that's fine. Mug commands Galagio goons to lock down several players inside earthen jails. Oh man, that feels weird. Inflicting 12.5 million nature damage split evenly among all players within 8 yards of the impact. That's interesting because that's more than the HP that you have. So it seems like you need at least a buddy with you or a major cooldown if you're going to solo soak it and solo the Galagio goon. There's like an ad in the middle of the jail. I imagine it'll tell you that here. Okay, yeah, the Galagio goon. Enrage. The goon enrages if Mug, Z, or another goon overlaps. So you have to spread them out and keep the boss out of the jail as well. Increasing its damage done if all players escape the jail, increasing its damage done and attack speed by 500%. So it casts something called Shakedown. The goon violently erupts the earth in a frontal cone, inflicting almost 4 million nature damage. So this cone in the jail, very hard to see, and it's hard to see where he's facing, so this may be a problem. This is just something to be pretty aware of if you're picked for the jail or you're inside the jail with the goon. Watch for that frontal. It's happening all the time. He doesn't have like a melee, I don't think. He just keeps casting Shakedown, so you just need to dodge it. He also casts Pay Respects, which is a kick. The goon pays respects to Muggsy, and causing him to absorb 20 million damage, increasing every 1 second for 10 seconds, so it can go up to almost 200 million shield if you don't kick that. Okay, that's important. Jailbreak. The goon erupts when killed, inflicting 1.8 million nature damage to all players within the jail and knocking them back. Colliding with the wall of the jail causes it to be destroyed. Interesting. Okay. I wonder if they could kill the walls earlier. I wonder if you like break the walls and then get out of there and then kill the goon, it won't do this extra damage to you. So it's like, it's better if you just kill him at range instead of kill him and break yourself out. We'll have to see. The goon's death causes the earth to shake, inflicting 1 million nature damage every 1 second to players within the jail. Okay, so there's just a little bit of something that's just like happening. Oh, the goon's death does that. Okay, so it leaves something on the ground that you just don't want to stay in. So there is a void zone afterwards. Okay, this is the Frost Shatter boots we saw earlier. Mug encases several players' feet in blocks of ice, inflicting almost 500,000 frost damage to all players within 4 yards. So you get a little circle around you, causing them to slide around for 8 seconds. Muggsy coalesces and launches a lethal Frost Shatter Spear towards the affected player. On heroic and mythic difficulties, a lethal Frost Shatter Spear coalesces and launches towards the affected players. So you want to put the walls of the jail between you and the origin point of that spear. Lethal Ice launches the affected player 31 million frost damage. Frost Shatter Spear impacts the first player. Earthshaker jail wall or unstable crawler mine hit from the other side, freezing them for 30 seconds. So that's interesting. That may be something that you do at some point. I'm not sure with the strategy, but yeah, you can hit the mines if you transition from like this side to this side. Storm Fury finger gun. Mug fulminates lightning outward from his finger, inflicting 1.5 million nature damage. I think he actually does point. There's like an animation too. This makes a finger gun. Frontal cone every half second for 4 seconds. So 8 ticks. It'll kill you if you stay in it the whole time. The excess electricity in the area creates a Storm Fury cloud, probably area denial. A looming storm cloud crackles with energy, unleashing bolts that strike the ground, inflicting 1.8 million nature damage to players within 3 yards of impact locations and stunning players hit for 2 seconds. Interesting. Okay. 1.8 million players, 3 yards of the impact location. I don't know that I saw that one. Yeah, it could be something like that. Okay. Yeah, I don't know that I saw that one. Okay, and then on this side, there's a tank mechanic. Oh yeah, the piss on the ground. Mug unleashes a blow of molten gold and lava in a frontal cone, inflicting 3.7 million physical damage and 1.7 million fire damage, knocking them back. Players hit are covered in golden drip. The blow leaves players covered in molten gold, causing players to drip molten gold pools in their wake. So this is the tank here. Each pool that is created removes an application of drip. So you want to like run around and paint the floor. After 12 seconds, the golden drip isn't removed. The player will turn into solid gold. Solid gold is a 30-second stun. Get punished, tanks. Get punished for not doing the mechanic. The molten gold drips.
Dude, I had BF out of that.
You actually might. You might just sit there and then for 12 seconds and then just IBF it so you don't paint the whole ground. That might actually be a play. Nice. So the pool on the ground creates it's for 3 minutes it lasts. So like the whole time you're on that side. Contact with the gold inflicts like 500,000 fire damage every half second. Okay, so it hurts pretty much. Slowing your speed by 20%. Okay, so the Z side, that's everything on the mug side, the Z side. So unstable crawler mines. So Z scatters mines that fixate on players, which detonate when coming into contact with players. Or Earthshaker jails, inflicting 1.8 million physical damage and 1.8 million fire damage to the target, triggering the mine and then knocking them away. Triggering the mine unleashes a barrage of shearing shrapnel. Searing, not shearing. Searing shrapnel. Let's actually do this one first. The mine explodes into a cluster of bombs, inflicting 1.5 million fire damage to players within 4 yards of the impact location. So if you soak it, it does 1.5. Clusters fail to hit a player, do nearly 4 million fire damage to all players. So you need to soak all of them. Searing shrapnel. The blast embeds searing shrapnel into the player's flesh, causing them to absorb the next almost 1 million healing. While afflicted by this effect, they also suffer a dot damage every 1 second. Interesting. It doesn't say how long it is. Experimental plating. The crawler mine is covered in experimental plating, granting immunity to all damage. Upon reaching 100 energy, the mine becomes immune to crowd control effects and gains 200% movement speed. Okay, so you have to deal with them in a certain amount of time before they hit 100 energy, or they deal with you. Okay, Goblin Guided Rocket. I don't know that I saw this one. Oh yeah, maybe I did actually. Z commands a volunteer rocketeer to assist him. The volunteer guides an explosive payload to a player location, inflicting 20 million fire damage, split evenly among all players. So it's a soak from the raid, I believe, within 12 yards of the impact and creating a hot mess. The impact also detonates any unstable crawler mines. If the rocket fails to hit at least 5 players, it inflicts it almost wipes you. So it pretty much wipes you. So you need to have at least 5 players in the soak, probably just a full raid soak. The volunteer rocketeer does a beam as well. Okay. After surviving the rocket's impact, the rocketeer... Oh, so you're soaking this rocketeer. It's actually the ad that falls down. The goblin fires disintegration beam at a random player, inflicting not much damage every 1 second for 12 seconds. Every 1 second, the damage is increased, okay, by 100%. So it ramps up a little bit, so you want to kill him. They also jump around, looks like. They jump to a player. The hot mess on the ground is 1 million damage every 1 second. Radiation sickness. Players impacted by the rocket suffer radiation sickness, increasing damage taken from the rocket by 500% for 1 minute. Okay. Interesting. I don't ever see groups soaking it twice. I wonder how long that debuff is and if that fits into the strat. Z unleashes a cone of bullets. This is spray and pray. So this is Mug's counterpart to finger guns, I believe. Inflicting 755 physical damage to every player every 0.3 seconds for 3 seconds to players standing within effect. Yeah, just don't stay in that the whole time. It'll definitely kill you. It also has Mark II Electroshocker. Z summons a Mark II Electroshocker. Oh, this is an ad that does arcing lightning or chain lightning, inflicting that much nature damage and then jumping up to 3 targets. It increases in damage every time it jumps by 10%. That's not too bad on that one. Faulty wiring on it though. Upon reaching 80% health, the flyer malfunctions, becoming stunned and taking 100% increased damage for 8 seconds. Okay, so it's like it's rewarding you for swapping to it and like hard burning it down, it looks like. I think a couple of these spawned in the room and they were on either side, so like you can save one for later and then go get it and get like one of them right away. Okay, double whammy shot. This is the tank mechanic. Z fires an explosive high caliber round towards a random player. Oh yeah, inflicting 16 million physical damage to the closest player and applying a perforating wound. All other targets take up to 15.7, so the full total physical damage, reduced by the closest player's total damage mitigation. So it goes on like, let's say the priest or whatever, and it'll kill them, but the tank steps in to save the day, pops a cooldown, and can actually save both of you from this damage, it looks like, if you like the player that gets targeted tanks. Unstable crawler mines hit are detonated, and all players hit are stunned. Oh, interesting. So the beam that goes across, okay, if you aim it at a crawler mine, it will blow up a crawler mine, which seems not very controlled or good, but maybe you want to do that at some point. An explosive payload is lodged in the original target. Perforating wound goes on the tank. Forcing a force from the ground rips through the first player hit, inflicting 1 million physical damage every 1.5 seconds for 45 seconds. So you're just bleeding for forever. Okay. And then explosive payload, the round lodges into the original target, exploding after 6 seconds, inflicting 5 million fire damage to players, and detonates unstable crawler mines. Okay, so you can use an AoE to clear some of the crawler mines if you want as well. So there's lots of ways to clear the crawler mines, other than walking into them and soaking them.
Also on that perforating wound, I would assume that potentially if there's a tank swap, you can bop it off of a tank.
Yep, or dwarf it. Yeah, it's like a bleed, it seems like. That's a good point. Nice. Okay. Intermission, the bullet storm. Upon reaching 40% health, both heads decide to work together, in unleashing a series of static charges and bullet storms before their final combined assault begins. Static charge. Muggsy harnesses electricity around him and charges, inflicting 2.5 million physical damage to players in his path, destroying all Earthshaker jails and unstable crawler mines. Upon reaching his target, Muggsy unleashes a bullet storm. I'm wondering if you have to like time this transition at 40%, because if he destroys the crawler mines and it doesn't like completely destroy them, but if you have to soak them, that'd be too many at a time maybe if you transition them at the wrong time and you're just dead. I don't know, something to be aware of. Hopefully he just fully deletes them. Bullet storm. Muggsy spins in place, firing volleys of lightning and lead. I love that, lightning and lead, for 8 seconds. Mug unleashes a thunderous waves of lightning, inflicting 1.5 million nature damage every half second to all players in the cone and on one side of Muggsy, and Z fires a spray of bullets, inflicting physical damage every, and this is Z. So Z is the one that's on this side, and he is in a tuxedo, I believe, and then the other one is in more casual dress. All damage from bullet storm destroys Earthshaker jails and unstable crawler mines. So they really want to reset the jails and crawler mines. Stage 2, the head honcho. Oh my god, there's so much going on. Okay, but it's all okay. It's all of everything. All right, so this is all the stuff we went through. But he also has bloodlust, increasing his haste by 30%, and he does everything. Okay, so this is definitely a lust at the end fight. This is not a lust on pull fight, at least for Prague. This is like a lust at 40% and burn him down before he kills you, because that is crazy that he has all of these mechanics. Double-minded fury upon reaching... Yep. Okay, so these are all the same mechanics.
I can only imagine what he's going to look like on Mythic.
Does the jail... It definitely gets crazy towards the end. I think this is going to be one kind of like Silken Court, where like once we have a good strat, it's going to make a lot more sense. But before you see the strat, it's like, damn, like that's a lot. That's a lot to take in. Okay, We read through that. That was a lot of reading. Hopefully you absorbed some of that and learned some of how these mechanics work. Let's go ahead and watch a little bit more of the fight. I actually have another clip I want to show you guys too from Mythic before we move on.
Yeah, you gotta use the crawler mines to open the wall. It's crazy.
Yeah, you have to kite him in there. So I think they are just doing the stack and root them thing. Here's that soak that we were talking about. It should leave a fire puddle, so you might want to soak it closer to the wall, but I'm not sure. There's the beam that the tank needs to soak. Looks like Dratnos soaked it for him. How much damage did that do? Did you see? It's like a 15 million soak here. Let me go back.
It's physical, yeah.
I just want to watch what happens to them. It's on Ninja Bunny. Oh, it with Dratnos in there using a cooldown, it almost killed him. And now he's got a 5 million another bomb. Yeah, that player needs a lot of spot healing for sure. Okay, and then they decided to transition here. The other side. What's interesting is he did that AoE, if you'll notice. He did that AoE on the other side, but basically once the majority of players were over here, he did his AoE like as if he transitioned, because he doesn't need to be on this side. It's just the players that need to be on this side to trigger the transition. Just a small detail there on how the mechanic works.
Definitely think that's better.
Yeah, it's interesting, but he can plant himself like on that other side and you can't. Okay, so they basically said get those jails super far so that we can buy some time. Here's the tanky piss ground. Here's the frost shatter boots. He is sitting in piss and dying. Oh, okay. Okay, the tanks don't even know what to do. That might have been bugged or something there, but they just covered the whole, all the ground. That was insane. Let's see, do they do another pull?
They were laying down the drip.
Because you can just target one.
Of course.
The gold drip, right?
A trinket.
I was about to cover Caligon and drip. I already see it.
Yeah, okay, good. We've got a lead.
Ew.
That's true. It's a tank buster, so Caligon will want to take it at some point.
Oh lord.
That was Swabbles. He was supposed to be tanking tonight. Okay, so they have the soak. They're putting it off to the side this time. I think that's smart. This beam for the tank to soak.
I'm popping mine.
And then that's a big circle. It does 5 million damage in that circle. But he does this frontal. Oh my gosh, that person got obliterated.
I think we're going to the other side now. Uh-oh, too late.
Oh, the boss spawned another set of unstable crawler mines before they transitioned.
Pop a bomb with a spear? Hang on.
You can.
We're putting this on the walls, yeah?
We read about that. You can pop a bomb with a spear.
These are just two people.
But if you're also fixated by one of the mines running into them to try and pop another one with a spear seems a little sketch. He's not doing it, dude. He's just gonna take the safe route here. So, at least on PTR, by the way, these walls were, from the jails, were LOS. And I think they're gonna keep it that way, which is really annoying because sometimes, like, you know, you can't hit the boss, you can't heal the people that are in there, you can't heal people that are on the other side of the jail. It's not great. Any LOS mechanics in the game kind of suck, but just be aware that that might be the case when this goes live. So that's there. There's something else I wanted to show you guys. So this is a clip from a better guild called Instant Dollars. They're like just sub world first, and they are doing Mythic here, but I think they did something really smart with the mines and the way that they organize it. I just want you guys to see that, and then we'll move on.
I thought you were doing single target. 1.2.
So they're right here near the middle, and they're all stacked up.
We're also pretty low eye level. 644.
And then the boss casts the mines, and they move together to bait them in a line here. And then they root them in the back, but they basically deal with one mine immediately, and then they just kind of deal with them one after the other. And then they're already in the corner here to do the soak. It's like very clean. These guys are geniuses. Oh, and then they're gonna hit them all here with this frontal, it looks like. And then they're gonna... That's a lot of people to soak. But they have to get all of them, or otherwise it would be a wipe. They soaked everything there, though.
Let's get ready for grip bumper. Grip bumper. Nice.
It only triggers when all players are on the other side on Mythic, so they went to the other side. The jails, they put kind of close-ish to the boss. And they put about 4 players. It looks like they assigned. And he just got obliterated by that frontal. He doesn't understand the mechanic. He said I should have walled there, but no, you just dodge the frontal. That's all he needed to do. And that frontal is hard to see. Like, if you guys are looking at it, it's like a lighter brown on top of brown.
Alright, remember frontal?
Unfortunate.
Finish the goon. Frontal to star first. Everyone playing over here. Finish that goon. Finish that goon. Thank you.
Okay, they do one mechanic, they do the jails, and then there's a frontal, and then they cross back over to reset. And if I were to guess what they want to do, they're trying to kill these ads.
Let's play it middle.
But they want to, yeah, go back to middle here to bait those bombs.
Walk in line. Walk in line. Watch those bombs.
And bait the bombs along the line again.
I'll pop one.
And they have somebody pop one immediately. And then they plan to get the next with the beam. So that's rinse repeat from there. They're actually really stable on Mythic, which is extremely impressive since they only had 1 hour to test to come up with a strat like that. And then to be able to execute. I think they go over to the other side again. And then they end up wiping over here. But they're very close to pushing the boss at 40% and seeing the next thing. I'd show you that if they did it, but they didn't. So we'll call it there on that. All right, we've been here for a little over 30 minutes. Yeah, let's take a look at Chrome King Gallywix just a little bit and get a sense for like what type of fight it is, some of the things that are happening. I don't want to read through everything word for word, but I do just kind of want to get a little bit of a preview together. I haven't read this before, so this would be a first time. What I'm told is that this is a 3-phase fight. Yeah, okay, stage 2 and stage 3. There's an intermission as well. And then Mythic, I guess, starts in phase 2 or 3 and has like all of the mechanics right away. That seems interesting. The boss room... Oh, did you want to say something about that?
Oh, there's just one ability in there, suppression, that I saw.
Yeah.
I'm curious what that is. That was probably the biggest thing that stood out there.
Suppression?
Usually something like suppression, it's like a root or something.
Okay. The boss room, I don't know if he's rooted or whatever in the middle, but the boss room is just a circle. And then it looks like you can fall off on either side. So if you want to picture the mechanics in the room... Oh, are there ads on that? No, it's just his model. He's actually in the hat. He's like the little guy in here. And he's like piloting this ship. He's sick. This is a mount, by the way. You can get this. And we should. Okay. Gallywix. What is this? Important tank alert. Hits the tank. This attack cannot be dodged or parried. So there's something important that players need to do with this. Additional blasts. Player in a frontal cone inflicting 30 million fire damage, increasing. That's a lot of fire damage. The damage splits evenly among affected players. So maybe something like split the raid and soak with the tank. All targets become afflicted with mech engineers canisters. If this fails to hit, okay. Gallywix experiment covers afflicted players, absorbing 2 million healing for 30 seconds upon expiration, or consuming this healing implodes the canister, incurring canister detonation. Interesting. All right, so there's like a heal absorb. It doesn't say it's on players. It's like on enemies. Upon expiration or consuming this healing. So I wonder if you're like, if healers are targeting something else in
It's not
healing?
us. We're the affected enemies.
Oh, you're the enemies? Usually the
Yeah.
Dungeon Journal says players. Okay, interesting. All right.
But he says like you get a canister on the thing above it.
So canister detonation. So it explodes for 2 million damage to all players. So you can't heal everybody all up at the same time, or it kills
You can. Read
everybody.
the next sentence.
On this difficulty, the canister
know.
detonation. Oh,
Based on the amount remaining of the heal absorb. It's if they time out, they blow up.
Oh, okay. And you have 30 seconds to top everybody off. Okay. That doesn't seem too bad, at least the way it's tuned on heroic. It's probably going to be crazy on mythic. Gallywix calls in explosives, which mostly detonate from moments later, inflicting nearly 10 million fire damage and applies blast burns. However, some of the fuse within the bunch scatters about the arena. Okay, this has a lot of flavor already. Blast burns, ordnance, fire damage every 1 second for 45 seconds. Okay, and it stacks. Bad belated boom, safety fuse. These bombs scatter, detonating late, inflicting 3 million fire damage to players within 7 yards. Blast burns, okay. Sapper's Satchel. Marked players gain a value pack. So it seems like he scatters a... Okay, yeah. It's just like a, I don't know, a cornucopia of different types of bombs that you have to deal with. Marked player, after 5 seconds, these detonate, inflicting 2 million fire damage to players within 7 yards and applying blast burns. So if you deal with too many of these bombs, you get too many blast burns. So the raid kind of has to split the load, maybe. A 2-for-1 deal. Sapper's Satchel drops additional bombs, which explode moments later. Okay, inflicting damage. The 1,500 pound dud. Dud, 1,500 munitions. Embed into the arena, inflicting, or arena exploding after 15 seconds, inflicting 5 million fire damage to all players. An additional 1.8 million fire damage every 3 seconds for 9 seconds. This effect stacks. So it's a interesting, a tank alert. Interacting with the ordnance instead focuses the blast, inflicting 10 million physical damage. Okay, so the tanks defuse these ones, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. Focus detonation, 10 million. Okay, that's the one on the tanks. The 2-stage releases bombettes throughout, inflicting 1.8 million fire damage to all players. Huh. A 2-stage effect. That is a lot of bombs. Okay, we got a zagging Zizzler. Miniaturized rockets zing from the pile, inflicting 629,000 fire damage every 1 second for 30 seconds, and the effect stacks. So it seems like a dodge. You're just like dodging these rockets that are coming out. Maybe.
What it sounds like.
Suppression. So Gallywix, shrapnel, subordinates for 3 seconds, inflicting 2.2 million fire damage plus an additional little dot every half second within 2 yards. This effect stacks, venting heat. Gallywix machines dump excessive heat over 4 seconds, inflicting 1.8 million fire damage to all players. Okay. Overheating. Gallywix contraption dissipates inefficiently, increasing the duration of venting heat by 1 second. This effect stacks. Huh. Something's going on here. Gallywix machines. So we don't know what those machines are. Maybe they're just around the room or something? Not sure. Greedy Goblin's armaments. This is a tank thing. Gallywix's barrels spit hot lead, inflicting 3.7 million physical damage, increasing up to 200% as distance to the target increases. Interesting. That's not that much damage for a tank, so I don't know why you would run away from that. Maybe if you start to take more and more of them, I don't know. And it stacks up. Gallywix gains stacks of trick shots every 4 seconds. Upon reaching 10 stacks or when changing primary target, all shots release. Okay, so it's kind of wanting you to maybe taunt somewhere halfway in between the stacks instead of getting all the shots. 2.5 million physical damage, so it'd be 25 million if it was all 10 stacks. An additional, which seems livable, but maybe not great. All this fire damage, not too much fire damage every 1 second for 9 seconds, but it does stack as well.
It'd be like 3 million.
So it's a maybe like taunt on 5 stacks on Gallywix or something like that in general, somewhere halfway in between, so it's not too much. Not sure. Tank mechanics, whatever. All right, so stage 2. Gallywix moves, House of Chrome, cronies. Gallywix then starts Giga Blasting. A Giga Bomb detonation damages the Giga controls, interrupting Gallywix Giga Coils, and the Giga Coils become Sabotage Coils upon losing both Giga controls. This creates Sabotage Zone. I am not smart enough to know what any of that would mean.
Definitely leaned in on
Giga Blast. So Gallywix collects and ejects Giga Coil. So this is like, it's like a bomb phase at first, but it seems like this is a lightning phase. Giga Coil power in a direction. Okay, 4 million nature damage plus an additional. Okay. This effect stacks. Each successive blast increases Giga Coil damage by 15%. This effect stacks, so maybe there's some way to interrupt it or share it across players or something like that. You don't want it to stack too much. Giga Bombs detonate after 30 seconds or when struck by Giga Blast, inflicting 3.1 million nature damage plus an additional. Okay, so maybe you want to Giga Blast some of the Giga Bombs to make them Giga Boom, and that like offsets or staggers the detonations. Sabotage controls, damaging Giga controls, spark profusely, inflicting 500,000 nature damage to players every 6 seconds. This effect stacks for each sabotage control and is definitely against regulation. Okay. Damage Giga controls, spark profusely to targeted players. So it seems like there are controls around the room and they'll just target a random player every 6 seconds and hit them. I don't know. Control meltdown. Sabotaging the Giga controls causes a control meltdown for 1 minute duration. Oh, during this time, if Gallywix activates Giga coils, it backfires, interrupting Giga coils.
That's how you stop the coil.
Okay.
Be clicking things.
And probably, yeah, it looks like you might click something or extra action button. What's up, dude? Rarer. Alright, overloaded bolts. The Giga coils furiously eject free ions which strikes throughout, inflicting 1.8 million nature damage to players within 4 yards of each impact. Okay, so swirls to dodge. Fused canisters, Gallywix launches shells, lots of damage, lots of things to click on, lots of random things spawning within the room, it seems like.
Oh, and 2 people have to get hit. Alright.
If it fails to hit at least 2 targets, all players suffer the full effect. Yeah, that's not worth 6 seconds detonate. Okay, so this is a soak, fuse canisters. These are the canisters again. Okay, it has the same mechanic as phase 1 and phase 2 here, so it's the heal absorb thing. And then he does the bombs. Okay, again, the suppression, the venting heat. Okay. Then he also has cronies. Oh, this ad drops the gigabomb.
And they fling them.
Ooh, flinging gigabombs. They also detonate them. The gigaboom. Okay, what's juice it? The Dark Fuse Blaster turbocharges the Gigabomb, inflicting 1.8 million nature damage to players within 10 yards. Okay. Party crashing rocket.
Oh.
Arrived just in time to be the life of the show, knocking back and inflicting 1.8 million fire damage to enemies within 8 yards upon impact. Cool. Alright. So this sentry does shock barrage. It's a kick. Let's see why you want to kick it. Every 4 seconds, inflicting 2.5 million nature damage, and up to an additional 1.5 million nature damage every half second. Okay. And then there's a wrenchmonger. Oh, this is a big tank guy. Enrage, magic effect, heroic difficulty, hobgoblin has to be dispelled, it looks like. It looks like an offensive dispel. That's interesting. Okay, or a soothe. Or a trank or something like that. Cool. Doing so, now knows to strike someone. The effect stacks. Causes quite a headache. Increases damage taken by 40%. So if the tanks do it properly, or no? No, they just, the effect stacks on the tank. Okay, got it. They also have a party crashing rocket when they come in. Very cool. There's an intermission. Cratering. Okay. Total destruction. Okay. Alright, so it's another intermission where you race before it destroys the world, it looks like. Armageddon class plating. Maybe break off the plating. It's another intermission with an absorb on the boss that you have to break while other stuff is going on. Okay. A beam, 186 million damage. Absorbing, okay. So you actually have to get behind the plating or something like that. Granting immunity to interrupt effects. Huh. Okay. Total destruction is a kick. Gallywix rains rockets. Damage to all players every 1 second for 30 seconds. Every 1 second the damage increases by 20. Okay. So you might be able to juice that for a little bit and milk it before you kick it. Alright, and then stage 3. I don't know if I'm ready to read all this. There's still the same canisters. There's gigacoils. What's different in stage 3? Greedy Goblin armaments. That's something. There's an ego check on the tank. 4-hit knuckle sandwich. Fucked. 9 million or 5 million physical damage each strike. So it does 20 million physical damage. Cannot be dodged or parried. Additionally, 90% of the unmitigated damage goes as checked ego. Targets struck by Gallywix ego check continually suffer unmitigated physical damage every 3 seconds. It's interesting. There's a lot of mechanics in this raid, especially for tanks, that if you don't have mitigation up when you soak it, it punishes you or the raid. And then he's got cronies. Okay, that was a lot of reading. I think that is beyond what is useful. I didn't see too much in there in terms of like classes or like races that necessarily would do better. There's a lot to that. Like you kind of have to see it and what the mechanics look like and what the overlaps look like probably to be able to, or maybe I'm just not smart enough, but there might be some ways to immune and get less stacks and deal with more bombs, so maybe immunities will be good. Or yeah, bops or different things like that. But not sure. Cool. All right, guys. Thanks for your attendance and your attention. We're going to call it there unless anybody has anything they want to add to this or ask a question.
Only race that really stood out for me in this fight would be possibly Dark Iron, just because they can remove magic, right?
Oh yeah,
So I would
any
fire
dwarf.
falls into magic.
Standard dwarf.
Yeah.
Does Dwarf do magic as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Dwarf sounds pretty juiced.
and dwarf looks really good in M+ right now too. Oh no. Is it mandatory dwarf this season?
These dwarfs are the best.
It always is.
I mean, there is another race that reduces fire damage. I don't know which one that is, but the fox.
Is it?
It's like 1%.
Obviously.
Like not that much.
I know.
Okay.
Specifically.